Hi, and welcome back to Plastic Models by Regular Dude and the Italeri 1/35 scale M47 Patton Battle of the Bulge build. So, where I left off last time was completed step 6, up to step 6. Now ready to move on to step 7. So the first thing I want to do is start cutting out these little parts for the front, all these lights and stuff. So looking on the instructions here, these little teeny tiny ones, 80B, those look like the might be the toughest ones, so I think I'm going to start with those. And let's see, there's 2 of those, so we'll cut those off. First, thusly, come on there, baby. All right, so we got that. Now, it looks like there is a, you're probably not going to be able to see it on this camera here, but yeah, I guess you can. There's like a little notch piece there, and that is the part that is going to rest on this one and this one. So that is teeny tiny. So let's see how I'm gonna attack this. Now this is where some good squared off, nicely shaped tweezers really come in handy. Oh man. Let's try this again. Just like that. That was precarious. All right, so I'm gonna let that one dry for a minute while I cut off the next parts, which are 81B. There's 2 of those that go on that particular mount, so we'll cut those off. These parts are really clean. The mold seam line follows a natural seam on the edge of the light itself, so not much in the way of cleanup there. And this one's got the same kind of wacky little thing going on. These are going to be fun. So boy, that's a really tight cluster of lights going on there. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Ta-da, wow, that's actually working easier than I thought it would. Okay, so there's that one, and then this one, same thing. goes on top like that. So we'll do the same thing here. Little dab of glue, cement, whatever you want to call it. Oh. These are tricky. Oh my goodness. Very tricky. You know what? Ouch. Stab myself with my tweezers. Oh man, that's just not gripping. Doesn't help that I'm shaking like a flipping leaf. Okay, so let's get a little cement on there again. Hold it there just for a second. Oh, ta-da! There you have it. Splendid. Okay, so I got that. So next, 84B is the brush guard for that. So I'm going to cut that off. Get this cleaned up. At these edges, because of the way they're molded, there's like a little sharp edge like on some of the other parts, so I want to get that knocked down. Pretty good. Let's get these edges knocked down. Gotta be careful, these are real tiny parts. They'll snap. Now, in my previous video I mentioned I made some comments about photo etch and how a lot of times it's just not necessary. Now, brush guards for headlights is one of those areas where photo etch is actually very nice because it replicates the thin metal a little bit better than plastic. Now, some of the newer kits, like, you know, the newer Tamiya releases and even Dragon and stuff like that, their plastic brush guards are a little more on scale and look a little bit nicer, so they're not as bad, but still, you know, photo etch is really nice. Alright, so let's see, let's see how this fits on here, see if I can do it without knocking any of those parts off that I just put in place. Oh yeah, looky there. This is kind of tricky. All right, I've got this back part glued on because it's really kind of fitting weird. I had to take that one light off, glued that, gotta let it dry up so I can align this part, then I can put the light on and glue this other part because it's really weird fit. So in the meantime, I'm going to do this side over here and see if I can have a little bit better luck gluing that little jumble of stuff together. Try it again. Sorry guys, this is just really tedious. Trying to show you. Oh man. There we go. Alright, so you've seen kind of how I've done it so far. So I'm going to glue these other lights on. I'm not going to do it on video because it just takes too long. And get those glued in place, and then this other part, which is number 82, which looks like a blackout light, I'll get that glued on as well, and then I'll come back and work some more on these brush guards. All right, this was a harrowing bit of modeling, I must say. These things are really tricky to get into place. This one was much easier than this one, but what I ended up having to do with this one, I had to remove that light, get this top part glued in place, then this part after I got the light back in. I put the light back in before I did this part. It just was, man, fiddly. So same with this one. This one was a little bit easier. As you can see, I've got that on there. Now I also glued on part 85B here, and then this cage here goes right there like that. That fits pretty easily because it's on a nice flat surface. I think I do need to trim off. I need to sand this just a little bit. To make it more flush with the surface of the fender. And from what I can see here, this long part, it fits better like that with this long flat part over the back of that device, whatever it is. I don't know if it's a horn or some other light or siren, I don't know, but that's where it goes, just like that. I'll put cement on either side there. Then while I'm thinking about it, put some cement right there to secure that. A little bit of cement there and there. Kind of press it down a little bit. And that is that. And that brings me next to the tools. So I will chop off those parts. So basically all of these tools go in that handy spot except for the track bar there. That goes on that side. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all these off and get them cleaned up. Alright, I've got all the parts cleaned up. I've got the whatever this big long bar, I always call it a tanker bar. I'm not sure if that's the technical term for it, but if I can get it to stay on there, I'll glue it on. One nice thing here, is there's some nice buckle detail on the tie-down strap. It's kind of nice. So we'll get that in place. All right, then we'll whip it around here. Now it's kind of cool because inside of here, it's got those dandy little outline marks so you know where stuff goes. So let's start with the pick handle, and it goes all the way up against the edge of that little tool tray. Now, sometimes I like to paint the tools before I put them on. Sometimes I like to paint them while they're in situ, or however you say that. But in this case, I'm gluing them in place because I'm just going to spray right over them with the gray. Now, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, there are those who say that the tools were painted while in place on the vehicle, and there is some photographic evidence on German vehicles of that from World War II. But more importantly, I'm doing this because it's supposed to be from a movie long ago, and I'm not thinking that they'd have been real careful to take these tools off and paint them. And since they were borrowing these vehicles, I guess, from the Spanish government, they may have taken the tools off, and they may not have been on the vehicles at all during filming. But I don't know, so that's what I'm doing. That's my plan. Now, the real tricky thing is to see if that shovel fits over top of all that. We shall see. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry up for a minute. And I've set it in place, and it looks like it's gonna fit okay. So I'll go ahead, put some cement on that, and that will complete step 7. And I had mentioned earlier about side skirts. The vehicle I'm modeling does not have side skirts. Alright, next up is the main gun. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut off these 2 main gun halves, and so I can get them glued together and sanded and all that kind of stuff. And depending on how long that takes to build the main gun, that may be it for my video today, because I don't want it to get too long. Already about 18 minutes, so don't want to bore you guys too bad. Alright, so cut this off as close as I can. Same there. Same there. Now, I'm not going to worry. I mean, I'm going to sand it down and, you know, so everything fits together well, but I'm not going to worry about the breech and all that stuff being all ultra seamless and beautiful, because it is going to be inside the turret and you're not going to see it, so it's not really much point in spending a lot of time on that. So it looks like it lines up pretty well. So I'm going to get me a couple of clothespins or clothes pegs, depending on where you're from. Get those ready so I can glue this thing together. Alright, so what I want to accomplish here is making sure that the barrel halves are as close to perfectly lined up as possible within the limitations of the kit. So I'm going to put some cement in here and there. So I want it to fill this whole, I want this whole seam to have cement in it. So kind of cement will serve as its own putty. Well, I can make sure there's not a step. It's pretty good. A little bit of a step there, but it doesn't look like it's going to go away. Yeah, there it goes. Tell you what, I still didn't go get my flipping cement, and it's driving me nuts because that shaking around business drives me insane. Okay. That looks pretty lined up. That's the part I'm worried about or concerned or wanting to make sure it's lined up. That looks good. Alright, so the rest of that will I was really wanting to do a bang-up job on this, and I was concerned about it. I'd get an aftermarket barrel just because you don't have to worry about all this seam business. But I'm trying to stick with out of the box. Okay. Alright. So there's that. So let's let that cure up a bit, see what happens. Okay, while the barrel is drying, did a little research, and this is the type of muzzle brake I need to use. So parts 101 and 102 are what I want to do for the Battle of the Bulge tank. Don't know if I mentioned it or not, but the M47, the tanks in the Battle of the Bulge were supposed to be King Tigers. So yeah, I don't really look like King Tigers, but take what you can get. Alright, let's see how these fit together. That fits pretty good. Need a little bit of cleanup, but it won't be too bad. So now that that is dried enough, I can steal these clothespins. use those. Pin this together. Now there's some flashing stuff, but I'm going to wait till after I get it all glued together to clean it up. That way I don't end up with any weird flat spots or anything like that. So let's hold that. Probably use a drill bit to make sure that's real uniform and round. This should clean up really good. Both halves are really even. Cool. So that is that. And I think I'll go ahead and cut these other parts off. 100, which is the mantlet. That off. Just 2 swivel points for the trunnion. And I'll go ahead and chop off these turret parts. Start cleaning those up. Test fit a little bit, see how it looks. This cleaned up. I may end up gluing this depending on how snug it is, because I don't want it flopping around. Alright, so I'm going to look at some photos, but one thing I noticed when looking at this vehicle in photos is now there's a seam line on here from molding, but there's also a seam line just like that on the real deal. Now I don't think I'm going to leave it just because it looks, when most people see that kind of stuff, they're going to say, oh, you're lazy and you didn't clean that up. Well, it's actually supposed to be there, but you know, I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's cleaned up and smooth. If I can find a decent photo, I may insert it in the video so you can see what I'm talking about. Alright, so I just looked on the internet real quick and it looks like it was both ways. There was a good close-up photo of one that you could see this seam here, just like you can see it here. And then there was another one that was really smooth. So I'm just going to go ahead and smooth it off just because I don't want anybody to think I'm lazy. Sanding, it's not taking much. It's not a real hard core seam. It's quite easy to clean up. Just like that. All right, here's what the turret looks like, and it's not bad. I've definitely seen worse. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to carefully glue all this together and then sand it really well. And then I may have to use some, because there's supposed to be like a casting seam around the edge, if I'm not mistaken. So I may have to use some Mr. Surfacer to kind of replicate that. But we'll see how it looks. But again, the detail looks nice on it. So since this needs to dry really well, as does the muzzle, in order to keep this from being too stinking long, I'm going to go ahead and stop here partway through step 8. So let all this stuff dry, and then we can come back and I can work on cleaning up the seams, getting that ready, putting the turret together, and then we'll be able to move on to step 9, which is more turret details. So that's it for now. As always, thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and if you have any questions, comments, etc., put them in the comment section below. I'll get back to you as quick as I can. So as always, thanks for joining me here with the Italeri 1/35 scale M47, and I will see you all later.